42 years ago this week, President Richard Nixon was forced to resign in disgrace. Earlier in 1974, 20-something from Colorado quit his White House job writing speeches for Nixon and called for his resignation in the New York Times. John Andrews went on to found several conservative think tanks in Colorado and served as president of the state Senate. And we sat down today. You were a kid, relatively speaking, when you wrote that in the New York Times, taking on the President of the United States, your former boss.
I had to leave. I could not honestly collect my paycheck anymore because speechwriting is very personal to the man that you work for, the man or woman that you serve. I didn't believe in Nixon anymore. It was a very intense several weeks in the life of a 29-year-old junior White House aide.
Did you ever think to yourself when you were at the White House, I'm working for a criminal?
And when Nixon said, "I'm not a crook," and people jokingly say, "Oh, you were the speechwriter who coined that?" No, unfortunately, he coined that one himself. But I never perceived him that way at all. I perceived him as a flawed man whose flaws caught up with him in kind of a Greek tragedy.
This year, you're supporting Donald Trump. And it strikes me that there are other Republicans, including some young Republicans, who are writing things like that, saying, I can't compromise my principle for the sake of my party. Do you understand where they're coming from?
I do. I respect the never Trump point of view. I'm a little bit impatient with my friends and fellow Republicans, proclaimed fellow conservatives who espouse it, just because in my case, the removal of an elected Republican president would have still given the people's will some effect by installing his Republican vice president. In this case, it's either or. To even sit this one out is effectively empowering the Hillary Clinton voters.
I'd guess you see Nixonian tendencies in Hillary Clinton.
Nixon's inability to master his ambition and put it in service of an unbending ethical standard seems to be mirrored again with all of Hillary Clinton's talents, with all of the decency of a lot of people, millions of people who support Hillary Clinton for their own good reasons, seems to be mirrored in Hillary Clinton.
When you wrote that letter as a 29-year-old, did you consider that it might end your career in politics, and were you okay with that?
I was prepared for that. My prayer every day to be a man of honor and integrity and to uphold that standard was sufficiently answered that I found the gumption against lots of fears and doubts to do what seemed then and still does now seem the right thing.
John Andrews, thank you for your time.
Great to be with you. Good luck with the new show, Kyle.